Bitcoin, the world's largest cryptocurrency, is under pressure. The price is down more than 20% so far this year and has lost nearly half its value since its October 2025 peak of $126,000. I'm here at Bitcoin Investor Week in New York City talking to investors and industry leaders about what this cryptocurrency sell-off really signals and whether this is a reset or something more serious. And what's been most eye-catching to you about this current drawdown that we're in?
I think it's actually a pretty healthy bear. So as opposed to probably think 2022, 2023 with FTX and the way that it was kind of almost a self-inflicted wound, this is just a kind of a nature of the beast, a cycle process that we have. And I think we're getting, I heard you say that some folks are saying 38, we might touch 50, but there's a lot of buyers coming in, including sovereign governments and the United States as well, building up their reserves as well as institutions. You saw Michael Saylor from Strategy saying, we're just buying more of this. So if that's the attitude, I think this is going to be pretty short-lived, and we're going to be at another level here probably by the summer months.
Biggest thing we're seeing now is, clearly the tokenization is here and it's real. The chair of the SEC said that all assets are going on chain within 2 years, something to that effect. This sort of regulatory endorsement for the upgrade of our financial system, we've just never seen before, right? Bitcoin clearly led the way and has this, real regulatory clarity. But now for the SEC to also say that not only is Bitcoin a commodity, but also tokenization is how we're going to upgrade this U.S. financial system, it's just a big deal. And we like to look at things that never happened before, and this has never happened before.
Nearly $500 billion has been wiped out across crypto markets within a week. We're seeing institutional selling and heavy liquidations. And now Stifel is warning that Bitcoin could fall as low as $38,000 based on prior bear market drawdowns. How do you think investors should really interpret this sell-off that we're seeing right now?
It's not our first. So I've been in this business for about a decade now. And, if every 18 months you get your butt kicked a little bit, you kind of get used to it, right? And so I think this is one of those where you're starting to get more resolve, resilience, and permanence from investors saying, this is just the nature of the beast. I'm going to buy at a discount because it won't be long before we're back at the levels of 126K and moving forward.
So Bitcoin is a very volatile asset in the short run. And to your point, we've seen some significant drawdowns in previous bear markets. I've been investing in Bitcoin since 2017, and I've been experiencing some of those, 70 to 80% declines, but it always comes back. It always makes a new high. And this is something that I always recommend for long-term investors to view with a very long time horizon. I would not put significant amounts of capital into Bitcoin that you want to touch within the next 4 years. This is like a 4, 5, 10-year look investment that you want to invest in dollar cost averaging. That's the best way to start to accumulate at various price points throughout the year in a similar way that people do with their 401k. Decide how much you can allocate, invest a little bit every 2 weeks or monthly, and don't look at the price. And when you have been in it as long as me, you get used to this volatility, but you see that it has outperformed almost anything else I could have had in my portfolio.
And what would your advice be to younger investors who want to start investing, but they look at stocks and they see the stability in that more so than what we're seeing in this current drawdown with Bitcoin?
Well, I always talk to them about how, unfortunately, right now, we're in a situation where the government is going to have to debase the currency. No matter what, you're going to lose purchasing power. So the first thing is acknowledging that we all have to be investors. We can't save in our currency. So number 2 now, which investment to look at? I always recommend starting with Bitcoin education. I know there's a lot of crypto out there, a lot of tokens. It can get very confusing. The first thing is to really study why Bitcoin exists. What monetary properties does it have that fix some of the problems that we have in our current financial system? And the 2 properties that I think are the most important in Bitcoin are that finite supply of 21 million coins that can never be debased. No one can ever print more, just like they're printing all these dollars. And the second is decentralization. It is the most decentralized and secure cryptocurrency that exists. And those 2 features is why when you zoom out and you look at a chart of Bitcoin from its inception in 2009, you see that it has outperformed almost every other asset class because it's growing in adoption, it's growing in those fundamentals, it's backed by energy, it's truly scarce, and it's truly decentralized.
And are we looking at a typical crypto cycle here?
I think so. I mean, again, I've been through several different bear markets, and right now we're at about a 60% maybe drawdown. And I think we could go as low as 30 to 40 if we repeat prior cycle lows. That doesn't mean it'll happen. It's very difficult to kind of trade this asset. And I always urge people not to trade it and not to use leverage, because that's when people can get into trouble.
And with prices down sharply, how should investors approach buying into weakness?
Well, this is when you want to be buying. I know it's when everyone's scared, right? But this is the investing advice that has been out there for decades and forever. You want to buy when everyone's scared because you get a lower cost basis, and then the gains actually matter a lot more.
If you have liquidity, it's great to be able to buy into weakness. The problem in financial markets, this is not a Bitcoin problem, is that when markets go down, most people don't have liquidity, and when they want to buy, they don't have the cash to buy. And then the other question is, who's selling down here? So most people that are selling in Bitcoin today are people that don't want to sell. They're forced sellers because they have margin or they need the liquidity. And so that's what we're seeing in markets today. And if you have liquidity, it's a great time to buy.
And the current administration has signaled support for crypto. How do you reconcile that with the current market that we're in?
Yeah, everybody got really excited when Trump got elected, right? We had this run from 45,000 up to 100,000. And then first quarter of last year, a little pullback because of the tariffs. I think that there's folks that are saying, well, I thought crypto was going to go to the moon because the administration loves it. But this is a slow play. You see, he's got Bessent now. He's got a new Fed chair that's getting nominated. These are pieces of a chess puzzle to get us to a point where we're going to walk away from easy money that Wall Street lives off of, that drug and that opiate that we keep giving them, to sustainable real growth. And that's a shift that's going to have some pain, some austerity to it. But when you zoom out and you look down the distance, you see this is good for the country, good for the American people. It's a little bit of a change from what we've done since basically 2008, but that's going to have a transition process to it.
And how should investors think about adding exposure during periods like this?
Well, there's a lot of ways to do it. Obviously, we do it in retirement accounts, which adds a long-term capital mentality to it. This helps folks use the tax advantages of IRAs, Roths, traditional SEP simples, so that they can get in and have tax advantages this year before the tax deadline, tax deferment when they do trades and the growth of the asset class, and then eventually, if they do Roths, tax-free down the road when they hit retirement.
And what's the strongest argument for owning Bitcoin today?
It is the one asset that they can never increase the amount of. So with gold, there are about 6.9 billion ounces of gold right in the world, but they increase that when people mine at about 1 to 2% a year. Well, with Bitcoin, you can never make more than 21 million. And so anyone can start accumulating Bitcoin in any currency at any amount today, and no one can ever debase that from you. And I think that is so critical in a world where they're going to be debasing all the currencies around the globe.
Now, for investors who bought in through newly launched Bitcoin ETFs, many are now sitting on losses. That's making it harder to justify adding risk. And at the same time, companies that once embraced Bitcoin as a reserve asset have slowed their purchases as their own share prices come under pressure. For Investors Business Daily, I'm Clara O'Connor.